When do we use the big formula? The longer one? When we have compound interest. So, remember, you don't have to memorize those. That's the one where if we're compounding monthly or quarterly or daily, money problem, compound it. What's the other one? The PERT formula. What's that one for? That's continuous growth. So that can also be used for money, but it has to say compounded continuously. That word has to be in there. And then it's used for all problems, not money. So we were on number 1, and we had gotten it set up. So who can tell me, what did we said this is the formula we're going to use because it's compounded quarterly. Who can tell me what that looked like when we set it up?
2,000.
2,000. 1,000. And where did the 2,000 come from?
Doubling.
We're doubling our money, and we're starting with 1,000. So my interest rate 0.025. And then here and here goes 4 because we are compounding quarterly. And then our variable is right there. All right, so we're going to need our calculators. And we're going to get this problem solved. I'm going to change my attendance real quick here. Okay, so what's the very first thing we're going to want to do in this equation? I can't remember how far we got yesterday. Okay, so the very first thing we want to do, anybody want to take a stab at it? It's always going to be the first thing you do, no matter which formula you're using. You're going to divide by this number. You've got to get this number out of here. So we're going to divide both sides by 1,000. And that works out really nicely. That gives me 2 equal to 1 plus 0.025 divided by 4 to the 4t. Now there is no need to do this, but if you want to type that in and get a single number for that, you can, as long as you don't have to round it off. So let's see, 1 plus 0.025 divided by 4 is 1.00625. I don't need to round it off, so I'm allowed to do that. Otherwise, there's going to be times where we just leave it like this. And it's okay. It's ugly, and you might be uncomfortable with it, but it's okay just to leave it like that. That's just a number. If you want to this time, we can go ahead and write it as a single number. All right. Tell me what to do now. What did we do? This probably looks a little different, but it's the same as this kind of thing. What did we do when we had that kind of problem, where we had to find our exponent, but there wasn't a common base? What did we do? Oh my. We took the logarithm of both sides. Remember that?
Yeah.
We logged both sides. And then we pulled the x off out in front. And then we divided. Remember doing that?
Yep.
Okay, so that's exactly what we're going to do now. We're going to take the logarithm of both sides. So stick a logarithm on both sides. The exponent is going to come out front. So I'm going to have log 2 equal to 4t log 1.00625. again, these equations are going to look complicated and yucky. But remember, you're solving for t. So you just gotta do what you need to do to get t by itself. So what do you think we need to do? Divide by 4. That would be one thing, right? I'm gonna divide by 4. So then I'm gonna have whatever this is, log 2 over 4, equal to t log 1.00625. Now remember, I still want plain t. So what else do I need to do? Divide by log 1.00625? This is a multiplication here. So I'm going to divide by that. Now, do not be frightened. You're going to type this in on your calculator, so it really doesn't matter what it looks like, right? So here we go. Remember, you got to close that parentheses. So when you hit log 2, close the parentheses, hit divided by 4, and then divide it by log 1.00625. So you're going to hit log 2 divided by 4, because that's what you said you needed to do, divide by 4. And then you need to do another division. So log 2 divided by 4, divided by log 1.00625. And did you get 27.812?
Yep.
You don't need to worry about how awful it looks. You just need to type it in. If ever there was a time where you need to be practicing with us on the calculator, it's now. Because it's gonna, I mean, ultimately you gotta come up with the answer. So, okay, all right, let's try the next one. First thing you do, read the problem and decide which formula we're going to use. So read problem number 2. Keywords are the last 2. Compounded, monthly. Same formula as before. So here we go. How much will be in the account at the end of 10 years if, where do I put the 1,230? This is my formula.
P.
That goes in for P, 1,230, that's what I'm starting with. My interest rate, be careful, what's my interest rate? 0.03125. What am I dividing by this time? What's my N?
12.
How many months in a year? 12. So monthly would be 12. And what's my T value? 10. Those are multiplied, 12 times 10. And what I'm looking for is how much I end up with. Okay, we don't need logarithms here. The only time we need logarithms is when we're solving for one of these. We have all that. This is just a, well, let's type it in. Here's a hint. I like to do this first and just make that 120. And then I type exactly what I wrote. So 1230 parentheses 1 plus 0.03125 divided by 12 close parentheses raised, using that button right there, raised to the 120. Tell me what you got. This is a money amount. Tell me what you got. Yep, very good. And we're going to round it off to the nearest cent because it's a money problem. And if you didn't get that, go back and type in exactly what I wrote. put the parentheses in, put the plus signs in, type exactly what I wrote, and you will get that answer right there. Okay, that's an easy kind. I like those kinds. Bless you. All right. Read question 3. Step 1, figure out what formula you're going to use. Which formula are we going to use? That one right there. How come?
Well,
It's not money, right? If it's not money, it's that formula. Okay? That's the formula if it's not money. And here we got some kind of geosites growing. All right, so here we go. Remember what all these things mean, and if you forgot, look back from yesterday's notes. Where does the 450 go?
with a P.
P. The growth constant is 0.123. The growth constant is the same as the interest rate in a money problem. So this is a 12.3%, but they just wrote it as a decimal, which is how it's usually written when it's a growth constant. Wait, do I know T?
T.
No, in fact, isn't T what I'm looking for?
Yes.
Do I know A?
Yes.
What? 900. Why is A 900?
You double.
We're doubling again?
You not represented.
No, it's Euler's constant, 2.718, it's a constant. The base of the natural logarithms. Now, look where my variable is. When your variable is up there, we're going to need logarithms. Eventually, we're going to need to use logarithms. That is the only time you're going to put log into your problem. But we got it right here. Our variable is up top. Okay? What's step 1 now? Divide. Step 1 is you got to divide by 450. So 2 equals e to the 0.123t. Now this is the point where we log both sides, but wait, the problem has an e in it. Maybe it would be easier to do what? ln both sides? What's gonna happen over here when you ln? That's gonna be gone, and you're gonna have ln2 equals 0.123t. And all we need to do, remember we're looking for t, so all we need to do is what? ln2 divided by 0.123. Remember to close the parentheses around that 2. So ln2, close parentheses, divided by 0.123. And what did you get? How long is it going to take? 5.635. And does the problem tell me? It doesn't tell me the units, so I'm just going to say units. That would be like days or months or years. It's just, I wrote the problem, I didn't do the job. We good? All right, number 4. Pick your formula. Big or little? Big. Keywords are, oh wait, 4 is not big. 4 is the little one because it says compounded continuously. And when it has that word in it, continuously, it's this formula. Okay? So it's that formula again. All right, so we're using that one. Where does the 35,000 go?
in the A.
Hey, that's what I'm gonna end up with. I'm gonna end up with 35,000. Is P what I'm looking for?
Yep.
What's my interest rate?
4.0.
0.04, very good. And what's my time? 10. So just like that one earlier, if I have a multiplication in my exponent like that, I like to fix that. So 0.04 times 10 would be 0.4. And my job is to find P. That's what I want to know. What's P? Connor, you feel okay today?
Oh, yeah.
All right, here we go. How am I going to do that? How am I going to get P by itself? How about if we just divide by e to the 0.4? Will that do it? Will that get P by itself?
Yep.
Yeah. So again, just type in what I wrote. So we're gonna type 3,500, or 35,000, excuse me, 35,000 divided by second ln 0.4. And hopefully you got $23,461.20. So we took 35,000 divided by second ln, that's how you get E, 0.4. Okay? Next, find the decay constant of an element if its half-life is 10.2 years. Which formula? Let's start with that. That one, right? Because this is not money. Okay, so tell me what we know. Do we know A, P, R, T? What do we know? We know T is 10.2 years.
We know A.
And actually, R is what we're looking for. Would you agree with that? R is the growth constant, but in terms of decay, it's negative growth. Okay? What are A and P? The key word there is half-life. What do you know about half-life? What does half-life mean? Think back to chemistry. What did you learn about half-life? Half-life is if you start with, I don't know, let's say 100 grams, after a half-life, in this case 10.2 years, what would you be left with? 50 grams? So half-life is the number of years or months or whatever it takes to have the amount of radioactivity that you have in your element. Okay? So in other words, you're going to end up with half of what you started with. That's what half-life is. You end up with half of what you started with. Okay? So pick a number. How much do you want to start with? Doesn't matter. Pick a number. 5? Actually, let's pick an even number, like 6. Because if we start with 6, we're going to end up with how much? This is the starting amount. We're going to start with 6. How much are we going to end up with? 3. Now, if I'm you, and this is the first time I've ever done this, I'm thinking, whoa, can you just make up a number? And the answer is absolutely, because what is the first step to solving that? Divide by 6. And what's gonna happen when you divide by 6? You're gonna get 1/2. So think about this for a second, you guys. What if we would have started with 100? Okay, what if we would have started with 100? How much would I have ended up with? 50. First step would be divide by 100. Where am I going to end up when I divide by 100? Aren't I right here? It doesn't make any difference how much you start with, as long as you end with half of it. Okay? So now here we are. What do I do now? No, I can't divide by e because it's hooked to an exponent variable. What do I do whenever I have to solve for a variable that's up there like that? I need logarithms, right? And since it's an e problem, I'm going to ln. And then what happens over here on the right? That's gone, and I have 10.2r. So how am I going to find my r? Divide by 10.2. Now, something's going to happen here when you type this in. So ln 0.5, close parentheses, divided by 10.2. What happened? You got a negative. You got a negative. So in other words, your decay constant is a negative number. Does that make sense? Yes, because what's decay? Negative growth, right? Isn't it backwards growth? What's that decay? It shrinks. Now, in a money problem, would we ever want that to happen? No, because that would mean your bank account was losing money instead of gaining money. All right, number 6. How long will it take for 193 trigites to grow into a colony of 391 trigites if their growth constant is 0.222? Which formula? Continuous growth, right? Okay, step 1 of the challenge is get the right formula. Everybody good with that one right there? All right, so tell me where to put things. What's the 193?
P.
P?
Yep.
What's the 391?
The A.
A. What's the R?
0.222.
0.222. And T is my variable. Now the fact that the variable is up there tells me at some point I'm going to need to use logarithms. Every time your variable is up there. So if your variable is up here or up here, you're going to need to use logarithms. Otherwise you don't. Otherwise you just type it in. All right, step 1. Divide. Now, here's a situation where it isn't smart to actually get a decimal here. Just leave it alone. Because it doesn't go in evenly, you would have to round off, and then your answer is going to be off, and I'm going to take off points. We don't want to round off till the very end. So just leave it that way. It's not an issue. We're going to type it in a second. Now we're going to ln both sides, and that's going to cancel. So ln 391 over 193 equals 0.222t. And then we divide by 0.222. So this is what I'm going to type into my calculator, and it's easy. Just type it. ln 391 divided by 193 close parentheses divided by 0.222. And how long does it take? What did t come out to be? 3.180. This is another bad problem. Yeah, years or some kind of unit of time, right? Years, days, months, I don't know. How long will it take? So the unit should be some kind of time.
Write the homework with us, like say years or months.
I hope so. Someday you'll be able to, you know. All right, here we go. Number 7. Pick a formula. Pick a formula. This one. How do I know? What's the word that signals me?
Interest.
Compounded monthly. Right? Compounded monthly. That's this formula. All right. How much will I have in my account? So aren't I looking for this?
No.
That's good news. No logarithms necessary. I'm looking for that amount right there. I'm starting with 555. My interest rate is 0.035. What am I dividing by? 12, because monthly. And how many years am I waiting? 12?
Yep.
So I'm going to go ahead and multiply those. 12 times 12, that's 144. And now I'm just going to go to my calculator and type in exactly what I wrote. I'll use that button right there. So 555 parentheses 1 plus 0.035 divided by 12 close parentheses raised to the 144. And how much did you end up with? It's money, so I'll put a dollar sign. $844.17. How come I didn't use logarithms on that one? I used logarithms on several. Why didn't I on this one?
Because of 80.
Because my variable was not up here. If my variable was up here, you're going to need logarithms. If it's not up there, then you're good. Okay, peeps? All right, last one. Take a second and see if you can set it up all by yourself. So figure out the formula and see if you can plug the numbers in where they belong. By the way, some of you did not submit your essay to Canvas. You get a 0 on the whole shebang if it's not put into Canvas. So I opened Canvas back up, extended the deadline. So if you look in Power School where it says paper to Canvas or something, I don't know, whatever that grade is. If you got a 0 there, you need to get that paper into Canvas. I got it. Okay, are we good, folks? Everybody? understand, we need to check that and make sure our papers and canvas are gonna be 0 out of 25, which is not going to help you. Okay, what formula did you decide to use for problem 8?
The small one.
This one right here? How's come? Compounded continuously. Guys, there can't be a bigger clue than that. Compounded continuously means continuous growth. Okay? So, I want to end up with $1,000. That's my A, my N. I started with 890. Don't know the interest rate, but I know I left it in there for 3 years. How many of you got that, got those numbers plugged in that way? Awesome. Okay, did anybody do the first step then? Leilani, what? Exactly, we're gonna divide by 890. It does not divide in evenly. So let's just leave it what it is. Because we don't want to round off. And then what? ln both sides. Gone. So then we have ln 1,000 over 890 equal to 3r. Divide by 3 and type that right there into your calculator.
What decimal place do we round it to?
Probably the 1,000th, whatever the directions say, but there are no directions, so we'll just say 1,000. 0.117. So what interest rate would that translate into? We got 0.117, so that would translate into, oh wait, that's not right. Sorry, stop. I was blabbing and didn't do that right. So let's see, a little high.
Yeah, 0.039.
Yeah, 0.039. I'll say 0.0388, and then that is 3.88%. And again, I'm just rounding randomly. So make sure you got that decimal. Did you get that decimal? Then you're good. What interest rate? Almost 4%. Okay? Well, guess what I've got for you today? So 3.6 homework will be due on Tuesday.
I'm gonna turn that jar in now.
And remember, next Wednesday, you guys don't have class. Actually, we'll have a short class like we did the other day.
Oh, we go to mass.
Because you're going to mass on Brownsburg.
Brownsburg?
Cool. St. Malachi.
Oh, so sweet.
It's far?
Yeah, we can't wear like college stuff. We have to wear like.
We have to wear uniforms. Like college shirt uniforms?
I'm so used to it.
Sure.
How do you don't know if you were going? You wouldn't know if you
Oh,
were
no,
going.
no.
All right, change my attendance all the time.
But I don't know if I want to, because I already went on the other one.
All right, guys, here we go.
Oh.
All right, are we ready? Practice test 1, here we go. Oh, first one's easy. Remember, this is what your test looks like, right?
Bro.
All right, so here we go. consider this, is it growth or decay? Sit up now, ask
Growth.
Is it growth or decay? Growth. What is the percent growth? 2%. And the initial value is? 3. We good? Alright, now let's look at number 2. This was on your quiz. Many of you got it right. Good job. A few of you struggled, so let's see if we can figure that out. We have 2 points. And we're gonna write the equation of the exponential, which looks like what?
Y equals A times
Y
B
equals
to the
A times B to the X. And what do we know right away?
A equals
A is 2. This 2 right here.
plus
2 that's with the 0. So now what?
plug in.
Some of you didn't know what to do at this point, so pay real close attention.
Plug in other one.
Plug in this X and this Y. So 18 equals 2 times B squared. So, remember, this is an X and a Y. So when you start plugging in, it goes in for X and Y. Now what? Divide by 2, just like you've done all day. Get rid of that number. So 9 equals B squared and B equals 3. And then write the answer. Y equals 2 times 3 to the X. Does anyone have a question about that? Willow?
How does B equal 3?
Now, all this work we're doing right now, everything up until part 7 is no calculator. So your test will be in 2 pieces. You'll have a white piece, which is no calculator, and then you'll have a colored piece, green or something, and that will be with calculator, all right? And you're doing it separately. So we need to be able to do all these without a calculator, which I think you did. Most of you did great on the quiz yesterday. What does 8 to the negative second mean? 1 over 8 to the second. And 1 over 8 to the second is 1 over 64. One-fourth to the negative third. Flip it and make it 4 over 1 or just 4 to the third.
64.
And that's 64. You'll have a baby calculator if you need it. 4 times 4 times 4. Ooh, C is easy. What's C? 5. Why is C 5? Because the ln and E are touching each other and they knock each other out. So it's just 5. Perfect. D. D is kind of hard if you just look at it the way it's written. But what if we set it equal to X? Would that clue you in as to what you're supposed to do?
Loop-de-loop.
We're gonna loop-de-loo it. So 4 to what power is 16? X is 2. So if you've got one and you're not sure what to do with it, go ahead and set it equal to X. And then loop-de-loo it. Okay, obviously we're not doing that with E. E is 27 to the negative 2/3. So that's gonna be 1 over 27. And then what does the 2/3 mean? Radical. So that's gonna be the cube root of 127 squared. Right, one step at a time. What's the cube root of 127?
1/3.
1/3. Cube root of 1, cube root of 27.
1
And
over
then when you square it, it's
1 over
1 squared, which is 1 over 9. Remember, when you root or power a 1, it stays 1. 1 doesn't change. All right. What about this one? Come on, hang in there. We're gonna do a little bit more here before we're done today. What do we need to do? What? Lots of things. What do you want to do first? It doesn't matter. What appeals to you?
the coefficients.
What?
Square root the coefficients.
Square everything?
Yep.
So Derek wants to do this. It's kind of distribute it, which is fine. What's 2 squared? 4. Now, what do you do with these exponents when you have a double like that? What do you have to do? No. You don't add them, you multiply them. That is a multiply. So let's make sure we're clear on that, okay? So if we have x squared times x cubed, that's when we add. When we have x squared cubed, that's when we multiply. See the difference? If there's 2 x's, you add them. But if there's only 1 x, you multiply them. So this is going to be x to the 6th and y to the negative 8th. 3 squared, 9. X to the 8th, y to the 2nd. Everybody good with that? You do not have to start that way, but it's okay to start that way. Now what do you think we need to do? What? Okay, so we need to bring this guy down. So I got 4 and 9, not much to do with those. What about these x's? What's gonna happen there? You got 6 of them over 8 of them. What's gonna happen? You're gonna have 2 in the bottom. And then I brought this guy down so there's no more y's up there. But now in the bottom I have y to the 10. 2 y's, add them. And there's your answer. G is a, what's G? 9. It's one of our properties. When you 2 and the 2 match like that, the answer's 9. H is another one that you might want to set equal to x. You don't have to, but it might make it easier for you. And we know the base is 10. So 10 to the x is 1,000. And you need to figure out how many times do you times x, or times 10 to get 1,000. And the answer is 3.
Oh, that's how much you count.
Right? X is 3. All right, 2/3 to the negative third. Flip it and make it 3 halves to the third. That means 3 to the third and 2 to the third. So 27 over 8. Ooh, how about Jay?
5.
5. Kids, are the E and the ln touching each other? They are, and there's nothing in between them, so the answer is just guide. There's a bunch of solved problems, some of which we did yesterday. Let's see if we can remember. How are we going to do problem A? Carson? Yeah, absolutely, you'll do the loop-de-loo. And when you do the loop-de-loo, it says 3 to the second equals x minus 2. And we know that 3 to the second is 9. And so we'll add 2, and it looks like our answer is 11. They go down. B is next, problem B. A little bit different. 3 times 2 to the x is 24. Step 1, there's that number again. We always divide that out. Always, always, always gotta divide that guy out. We did it with all of our word problems we had a little bit ago. So we're gonna divide both sides by 3. So 2 to some power is 8. X is 3. 2 times 2 times 2. Just a little bit harder. Any thought on how to do this? Divide by 3, I love it. So ln x equals 1/3. What's the base on that ln? No, not 10. The base on an ln is e. So doesn't this say log base e equals 1/3? And can't we loop-de-loo? So e to the 1/3 equals x. And I'm okay with e to the 1/3. It is the same as the cube root of e, if you prefer, but it's all right to just say e to the 1/3. E is a number. And we don't have a calculator on this part anyway, so we're just gonna leave it as either e to the 1/3 or the cube root of e. Remember, the 1/3 power is the cube root. Wish you guys would quit watching the clock. You're hurting my self-esteem. All right, here we go. Step 1, divide by what? 36. We're going to divide by 36. So we have 1/2 to the x minus 1 equal to what?
106.
Reduce it. What's 9 over 36? 1/4. And why is that really good news? Because 1/4 is 1/2 squared, isn't it? So now I have 1/2 to the x minus 1 equal to 1/2 squared. And what am I allowed to do as soon as I get these two numbers to match? I'm allowed to forget them and solve the exponents. So x minus 1 equals 2. And the answer to the problem is x equals 3? Perfect. Alright, F is a monster. Let's wake up, be alert here, and see if we can figure out what we're supposed to do with this. Talked about these yesterday. Does anybody remember what I'm supposed to do with a problem like this? I gotta combine the logs, because when you have 2 on the same side, this is like a red flag. If you have 2 on the same side, you gotta deal with it. So we're gonna put those together, and when I put them together, what is gonna be, this one's okay, over there, on the other side's fine. These 2 are going together. What am I gonna put in here? Three x minus 2 over x. Remember, in a subtraction problem, when you put it together, it becomes a division. If that had been an add sign, when I put them together, it would be a multiplication. So now you have log base 6 of that equals log base 6 of that. What are you allowed to do? You're allowed to ditch those. Oh, shoot. That's probably a clue it's time to be done. All right, we'll finish this problem and we'll be done. I think they're sending me, it's sending me a message. We're getting lots of good views of the back of Kendall's head. Okay. All right, let's finish this. So we have 3x minus 2 over x equals x. So 3x minus 2 equals x squared. What do I do with that? Move everything over.
Yep.
So x squared minus 3x plus 2. Move these guys over. And then factor. And it looks like my answers are 2 and 1. Please do not lose your practice tests. There will not be any extras, so do not lose them.